You're listening to Diamondback Radio, the Airsoft podcast, free to access anytime, anywhere. Powered by Fujin Airsoft. Strap up, lock on, listen in. Diamondback Radio.
What is happening, Airsofters? Welcome to Diamondback Radio. Pull up a chair and get comfortable, because this week we're going to be doing a lot of shop talk, some debriefs, and later on in the interview bunker I'll be joined by the CEO of the 10th Legion Milsim team. But for now, check this shit out.
Diamondback Radio.
What is happening, guys? Welcome to episode 1 of Diamondback Radio. I'd like to start by doing a quick introduction on who I am and my background in this hobby. So I transitioned from competitive Nerf to Airsoft a couple of years ago now. So I've got a few years of Airsoft under my belt, and with my life at the moment, with marriage, kid, job, this hobby does take the back seat a lot of the time, so I don't get to play out a hell of a lot. So this is my way to kind of live vicariously through you, the player. So if you've got any war stories that you want to send in, I'll happily read them out. Just email me on downbackradio@hotmail.com. But what can you expect from Downback Radio? There's a lot of ground I want to cover. Obviously, we've got our bread and butter, so it's our mission debriefs, gun and gear reviews, and I'd like to get some guest speakers on the show, because I love to hear how people have started off in this hobby and where they're at the moment and what the future plans are. It's just very intriguing to me. On the other hand, I want to do something a little bit different, kind of set me apart from other podcasts. That's mainly with my little jingles that I've been making, so I hope a lot of it translates, and yeah, it's just something really quirky that I want to kind of add to the character of this podcast, and to really make it something that you can just kind of have playing in the background, whether you're working on your guns, packing your gear, pleasuring your wife, whatever you're doing, really. I'm here for you. And yeah, that's our broader mission statement, shall we say. But for now, I won't bore you too much with the details. Let's just crack on, shall we?
Load up. Lock in. Diamondback Radio.
Okay, so for this segment, I want to quickly go over sort of like the positive aspects of this hobby, mainly in the community spirit, especially the ones that I've seen. So, like all hobbies, this hobby is no exception to toxic people. You know, they'll come into the hobby space and they'll ruin it for other people and just give people an all-round shitty time. So it's nice to see that there are places out there that offer that bit of extra support on and off the field. I've noticed it in the Fujin Airsoft community, so I'm part of the Discord and things like that. And it's a really good space for players to build each other up. You know, like I've had more of a follow account because people have shared things that I've put up, and I've tried to do the same myself. And I guess in a way, this podcast is a way to kind of build people up as well, and in that similar vein. So, yeah, it's a definite positive aspect, and it's really good to see because you can get hobby spaces that will just gatekeep and they'll exclude people, but it's the wrong kind of gatekeeping. Like, you can get positive gatekeeping. If you watch a lot of Northern Exile's videos, he'll tell you. But yeah, so that's a little brief overview of what I think about the community spirit as a whole from what I've seen. But yeah, anyway, up next, here's a song all about me. Is it egotistical? Yeah, it is, but it's my show and it fucking slaps. Check it out. The doctor is in. Diamondback Therapy. Okay, so I want to do a bit of real talk for a sec. So, with this segment of the podcast, I kind of want to, like, deep dive into, like, my own mental health journey. And I know this is meant to be about airsoft and stuff, but in a way, airsoft is my therapy. It kind of gets me out of the house, gets me active for a bit, and gets me social as well. So I kind of want to be open and honest with you guys, and to myself as well. So I kind of want to bring you up to speed with what's kind of happened in my life over the last 3 years, and kind of what's brought me to, like, making this podcast in the first place. So I should probably start from the beginning. So 3 years ago, I won't bore you with the details, and if it's a bit too triggery for you, then by all means, skip ahead. But long and short of it is, first of all, my dad, he passed away. It was one of those things where we didn't really see it coming because he was acting really sort of like not quite himself. Turns out he had a brain tumour, so it was cancer of the thalamus, dead centre of the brain, and it got to the point where he was on end-of-life care. So I had to basically sit and watch my dad draw his last breath and kind of be that stoic rock for the rest of my family. So obviously I cried, I let some tears out and stuff, but I'm still not quite over that. I mean, I should really book into some kind of grief counselling or something like that, but it's just finding the time. So a month after that, my grandma passed away, so I went down to Norfolk to her funeral. She died of dementia in the end. It was vascular dementia and cancer she had, so the dementia won the coin toss to like get to her, really. So yeah, then a month after that, our little girl was born 3 months premature. So this little £1.9 like bundle of joy that could fit in the palm of your hand. So that's another rabbit hole of trauma to unpack for myself and my wife, really. So then, that was all in 1 year. So then earlier this year, I've been going through like a diagnosis process. So I was acting a bit confused. So I thought, is this going to be like my dad? Is it a brain tumour? So I went through the GPs, give me an MRI scan. Turns out I've got multiple lesions, left temporal and frontal lobe. It looks like MS, but my symptoms physically don't meet the criteria just yet. What they want to do is do more scans, so I've had a second MRI on my head and my spine this time around. They want to check for MOGAD as well, which is another antibody disease that won't kill you outright, but might cause complications that could. Which, to me, just sounds like someone's got a gun to my head and they're saying, I'm not going to shoot you, I'm just going to pull this trigger and see what happens. You know, it could be loaded, could have the safety on, maybe the firing pin's taken out, maybe it's live ammo, but fuck it, let's give it a go. So it does feel very much like Sword of Damocles over my head, so it hasn't really helped my existential crisis at all, really. But then what's happened recently is my father-in-law recently passed away as well. So being there for my wife, because he passed away very suddenly. It was a cardiac arrest. He had the same heart condition that my dad had, but with his health, there was no steady decline. There was no, let's put you on a pacemaker. Obviously, he was on plenty of medication for it, but just one day, boom, gone. And, you know, it's that sudden sharp loss that obviously my wife is having a lot of trouble with. So again, I've got to be there for her. So mentally, I'm no stranger to anxiety and depression, but obviously recently he had a slight mental health crisis, which obviously brought me having a little bit of time off work, back on medication to see if that does it. So yeah, so I think it's getting there. I am sort of like getting back on my feet, and making this podcast is, I think, is really helping me because it's giving me that little creative distraction and to put my mind to something useful and to create something that's hopefully going to spark a bit of joy in people's lives. And I think the one thing that's always on my mind is that, especially in the northeast of England and in Teesside where I'm based, I'm pretty sure we're still the suicide capital of the UK for male suicide. And, you know, it's not to say that women can't get depressed as well, because obviously I'm not saying that at all, but a lot of the figures do project it's around men aged between 18 and 35. And if you are going through anything like that, please don't suffer in silence and don't bottle it like I have, because it has sort of like been a major detriment to me. So, you know, there are services out there if you need to. Samaritans, crisis team, you know, do reach out to somebody, because, you know, you are worth something, and, you know, you are loved, even if your mind is telling you that you're not. Because God knows I've been through that myself. So, yeah, please don't suffer in silence. Be good to yourself. And, yeah, just talk to somebody. Anyway, we'll stick a pin in that for now. I will keep you up to date as my own situation progresses. But coming up next, we're going to do a little bit of shop talk. Check it out.
Live, laugh, light 'em up. Diamondback Radio.
Okay, so in this edition of Shop Talk, I want to touch on briefly just how easy it can be to overburden yourself with extra kit and guns and things like that. So to give you a sense of scope, let's talk on my experience. So when I transitioned from competitive nerf to airsoft, when I was nerfing, I had gear everywhere. So because it was fairly lightweight, all these blasters were made out of plastic mainly, so you could carry a lot of stuff and not feel too overburdened by stuff. So I had drop leg holsters, leg panels with gear on, like full chest rig and everything else going on, which looked cool, but it would get snagged on a lot of stuff, especially things like cam netting. And when you're in the heat of things and you get like a buckle like snagged on something, it's going to really knock your game up. So what I wanted to do with airsoft is take a look at my kit and strip it all back and make it more centralized to my torso, so from like the waist to my shoulders, and have everything on that. But that in itself had its own limitations. You'll probably see when I put this up on YouTube, I'll have some accompanying photos to give you an idea of what I mean. The worst it got though, it looked cool because there was this whole one-man army sort of aesthetic, you know, armed to the teeth and all that kind of shit. But running around and all that gear really did me in. And I am not the king of cardio, and anyone who says that they are is probably lying to you, because if that's the only hobby you do and you don't go to the gym, then you're probably not going to be like as fit as you might think you are. I'll tell you who is though. There's a mate of mine, he's one of the marshals at Dirty Dog, known him for years, and he's fit as fire. Like, he's done the Great North Run and everything, but he also, he's out playing most weekends, so he's on top of his game, and he's just such a phenomenal player. He's like an absolute joy to shoot beside. But going back to the level of kit, so I took another look at where my kit was, and I thought, right, I can easily strip this back even further. So I've still got the Charcom rig, but since then I have taken off the little grenade pouches because they weren't doing anything, because there was nothing that would really fit in there. So I took them, like all four of them off, put some molly stripping on either side. I've even put a little pistol holster on one side for my little Makarov. So even though I'm still carrying 3 guns around, it's a lot lighter than carrying a shotgun on my back, which again looks cool, but it wasn't quite as practical as I'd like to think. So even then I can still strip some layers back and do more with it. So I've since stitched the battle belt in favour of a range belt. So it's that type where it's got the Velcro inner belt and the actual molly outer. So I've got my sidearm on there, a little AK mag pouch for some extra mags if I need to carry them, and then a little admin pouch and a dump pouch. So that's still working pretty well, and yeah, we'll see how things go with that, but it's definitely on the right track. But in any case, how's your kit? Is it working for you? Have you run into the same problems that I have? And how are you working on it? Do drop a comment down below in the YouTube. It'd be good to hear from you. But for now, here's some more music. By the way, if you are a musician or you're in a band and you want your songs featured on the show, do reach out and let me know. I probably can't pay you. I can maybe pay you in beer. But I want a more human aspect of the show instead of AI. So yeah, check this one out.
Locked and loaded in the fray. Diamondback Radio leads the way. Mass on the battlefield's alive. Tactics born where warriors thrive. Charging through to survive. Survive. Shadows dance, neon lights. Victory roars into the heights. Diamondback, Diamondback rise. Diamondback Radio, heat to play. battlefields alive. Tactics born where warriors thrive. Charging through to survive. Survive. Shadows dance, neon lights. Victory roars into the heights. Diamondback rise. Diamondback radio heat to play. Airsoft legends every day. Locked and loaded in the fray. Diamondback radio leads the way. Diamondback radio heat to play. Airsoft legends every day. Locked and loaded in the fray. Diamondback radio leads the way. Smash on the battlefields alive. Tactics born where warriors thrive. Charging through to survive. Survive. Survive.
Hope you like going commando. It's time to debrief. Alright, so in this edition of Shop Talk, it's going to be just me for this one. I was going to have my guys from Down Back Division joining us, but time constraints, schedules, and that kind of stuff hasn't quite panned out this time around. But in any case, this is from our last game day, so by the time this episode goes out, HQ Driftfield will have sadly closed its doors, which is a major shame, major blow to the community, because this is like a big bucket list site for a lot of players, and thankfully I had the chance to go down there and play a game. So there's a lot of good points, a few bad points, but that's mainly on my end of things. Mentally, I just wasn't quite all there. My day already started off a bit shitty because I must have slept funny on my shoulder, so I woke up in absolute agony. And it was when I was trying to take some painkillers that, when I've been looking into stuff, I know you shouldn't Google your symptoms or anything like that, but naturally I've had 5 months to Google shit. So one of the big signs of MS and other neurological diseases is difficulty swallowing. So I thought, oh fuck, is this the day that it's finally going to come to a head? So yeah, all that aside, we finally get there and get signed in and whatnot. Had your standard team deathmatch type of games. Beautiful looking site, like a lot of buildings to explore. Some of them were unexplorable. They said if you walk into a room and there's no floorboards, then you know that it's not safe, so don't go in it. So there were a few like that we found, but other than that, it was really good. I think the main downside for me was at one point, I'm with some guy, we're behind a bit of cover, sort of laying down some fire, and I got tagged in my trigger finger knuckle. It's the one just below where your fingernail is. And this is from fairly close range. A guy in a doorway got us. Cracking shot, by the way. But at the time, I didn't see it like that. So naturally, when you get shot, you do the whole, fucking hell kind of thing. And then I could hear him like laughing and giggling away in the doorway. They was saying something snide. So I just turned around and go, fuck off. But like really aggressively. And this sometimes happens with me where I'll get a bit raged and I'll instantly just take myself out of the game. I thought, right, I just need to cool off. So I turned my comms off. Obviously, said to the guys before, and I was like, look, I'm walking off right now. I need to calm myself down. Turned my comms off, went back to safe zone, got a can of Monster, a little bit of water, went to the shooting range, just mag dumped the targets with my pistols, and just kind of let a bit of steam off. And after that, I was fine. But I think sometimes if a game isn't going your way, because this happens a lot, I find with myself personally. I don't know if you have this same kind of issue, but if the game's not going well and your team doesn't seem to either be wanting to push the objective or just really trying their best, and the other team are just that well dug in, and you just can't get a beat on anybody, and yeah, tempers are going to flare. Thankfully, it's not like over in America. You see a lot of the airsoft flip-out videos where fist fights often occur. I've never seen that over here. I think being as British as we are, we'll say a few heated words and then we'll just leave it there. Another instance of the day happened where, with their medic rules, if you got tagged, you had a 30-second bleed out time, and if no one can get to you by the time that counter goes off, then you got to respawn. So I got tagged, again, some guy in the doorway near the village, and I'm on one knee, hands in the air, bleed out time comes off, and I'm right, I'll go and respawn. I get back up, hands still in the air, and this guy still shoots us. And I say, I'm fucking hit, mate. And he just sort of goes, oh, we get your hand up then. And I'm like, it is fucking up, you dickhead. So, again, got a bit more rage, but it wasn't the kind of walkie off sort of rage. I thought, right, I'll just go back and respawn, try it again. And yeah, they're the only main instances where I was in a bit of a state myself. But yeah, the rest of the day was pretty good. Is also one of the refs was dishing out stickers for everyone. She was really good with that, and it just goes to show just how much of a magpie an airsofter can be. Because it's on my AK still. It's like a little dinosaurs class. But I think the only other issue was it was kind of shooting through the window rule. So with that site, there's a lot of broken glass on the window. So I get it. You know, you don't want to shoot broken glass in people's faces. And there are some windows that you can duck in and out of. The ones that will paint in like a yellow frame, you can actually climb through it. But you can't shoot through it, but you could lob a grenade through. So that knocked up our game for the last pushback game. So we were in one of the buildings to start off with, and we had that front of the building in total lockdown. It was just two main rooms and the front door, and they were not getting through. It was only because one of the guys fragged us from one of these windows that we couldn't really defend properly, because we could see them coming, but we couldn't shoot. So we were a bit scuppered there. And then it was toward the end of that game, so we got tagged out, went to the middle objective that was more open ground, so I got tagged out more or less straight away. And then I asked where we were spawning back to, and they just said, oh yeah, just back that way. I had to try and find a ref and rally on them. And there was the last building, but there was no refs there, so then it got to the point where we just kind of stood there, not really knowing what to do, and the other team still shooting at us, and we're like, well, we're hit, we're trying to respawn, but we don't know where we're spawning to. So we had a weird kind of armistice, like a weird ceasefire moment, where we got one of the refs over finally, and he didn't know what was going on. So then he radioed ahead to the other marshals, and they didn't know what was going on, because I think the plans somehow changed mid-game. I still don't know to this day what actually happened, but we were able to work it out between ourselves. We said, right, well, we're going to go to this building, give us a minute, and then just come get us. And yeah, we worked out fine from there. So yeah, we'll leave the debrief there for now. I'll get the guys in at some point. We'll do a proper debrief rundown with the full squad. But right now, I'm going to jump over to the interview bunker for our guest speaker. Check it out.
Ready for your close-up? Diamondback Spotlight.
Okay, guys, welcome back. You're joining me now in the interview bunker with none other than the commanding officer of the 10th Legion Milsim team. I've got Campbell in the studio. Mate, how are we doing?
Hello, mate. Yeah, thank you for having me on, mate. Really appreciate it. I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah, same, to be honest. So I've been following you guys for a while on Instagram, and I've always wanted to know more about what you guys are all about. So I'd like to start from the beginning, if it's okay with you. If you could just take us through kind of where you started in the hobby and kind of where the 10th Legion came about.
Yeah, of course, no problem. Well, it's a pretty simple story to begin with, which then develops over time. But long story short, I was living with my missus at the time in a place called Blandford down in Dorset. And, as everyone knows, as you're growing up, as you're getting older, you tend to not have as many friends as you used to, right?
Yeah.
And I thought, well, everybody wants more friends, right?
course.
Also, yeah. And, I wanted a hobby as well. At that current moment in time, my only hobby or way to vent off was either chilling with the missus or playing on my computer a couple games, whatever, watching YouTube and whatnot. And I wanted something a bit more active. So at the time, I had 2 or 3 quite close friends, which we used to go to the pub every now and then. And born was the idea of creating some sort of airsoft team.
Yeah.
Initially, we didn't know what it was going to look like, what it was going to be, the name, the theme, nothing. It was just a concept. So after a few beers and a notepad and a pen, we sort of come to realize what we want, how we're going to do it. And I sort of led, obviously, our little group in the direction. And over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, we slowly developed bits and pieces in terms of structure or infrastructure and how we're going to roll those pieces out. Because obviously, as everyone knows, you don't build a house from the roof down, do you?
Of course, yeah. That's it.
Yeah, won't work very well, from the foundation up. So we didn't want to jump ahead of ourselves. Surely, slowly but surely, was the plan. So in terms of the team itself, from how it began to what it is now, how it grew into what it is now, I love my history, especially like old history. For example, Greeks, Roman, medieval stuff. That's sort of an interest of mine. And obviously, coming from the forces, I have the knowledge from that sort of area of things. And I thought, well, if I combine both of them, obviously I ran this through my mates at the time. So combine both of them, where we have an airsoft team, will make it as realistic as possible in terms of how we actually engage in the sport, and tying into the infrastructure and the structure and the media and potential merchandise in the future, we can tie this whole Roman theme into it. Now, a lot of people, understandably, you can't please everyone. We are a bit of a Marmite team, as we've come to realize, and I'm perfectly happy with that. I don't go through life trying to please people. That's really not me.
Oh yeah.
If you like us, you like us. If you don't, you don't. So we chose the theme. I was obviously the fountain which the military sort of background knowledge came from, and the other individuals, they also chipped in their 20 pence as well.
Yeah.
So we had our Discord. We had the Discord server. We played a couple games. Oh, I should point on that. I'm one of these. I'm not a very patient person, so I imagine other people are like it as well. I actually ended up buying 90% of the gear before my first game. Yeah, started off with quite a nice. Was it a Golden Eagle gas pump action shotgun, which I actually really enjoyed.
Naturally, yeah.
Yeah, it's quite good, that thing. Anyway,
we've got the sawn off one, because I got one that's very similar.
No, it was was it the M? I want to say like the M59 something. It had like an M-lock pump on it, Picatinny rails. It's quite a mean looking beast.
Yeah.
It's a very nice shotgun. The problem, I don't know if yours is the same, but the gas reservoir is essentially in like an AR style buffer tube.
Right.
Which obviously those sorts of buffer tubes in airsoft anyway, not so much the real thing, but in airsoft, for me, it was a paranoid point where, say you fall over or you clip a wall as you're going through like a CQB lane or something, you could just imagine snapping that gas reservoir off.
Oh wow.
And you know what I mean? That your gun's knackered then. Yeah. That was the only bad thing about it. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, because with mine, it's stored in the grip, so you get about like the shell's worth of shot out, maybe like 10 shots, something like that. But I found it's a bit of a weird one, so I tried new Pro Gas in mine, but it needs the Abbey one, with the plastic nozzle to sort of get that bit of seal around it. I found the metal one just didn't quite do it for us. It's just kind of like pissing gas out.
Interesting. Yeah.
That one's a piece as well on red gas.
Oh no, I can imagine. Stick some 2.8s or 0.3s in there, and you're laughing.
Oh, at least 2.8s.
Yeah. But yeah, I digress anyway. Yeah, so we started going to a couple games, and this is at Ground Zero in Dorset, which then from that moment onwards became our go-to site. That was our main site. We would attend there twice a month, and that became my then new hobby. Same as those other lads, I started to recruit some people, some like-minded individuals. Again, at this point, we're not overly sure how serious how professional we're gonna get, how, where the end goal is in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years time. It was just, we're playing the game, we're playing it rather realistically, from our points of view anyway. Obviously everyone plays in their own play style, but this is the niche we wanted to go down. And after maybe 6 months, we were up to like 10, 12, 15 members. A year, 18 members, year and a half, 20 members, and then 2 years to 2.5 years, we were actually, according to all the information I could find, we were actually the biggest Milsim airsoft team in England, I wouldn't say the UK, but definitely in England, we were regularly fielding between 10, sometimes 20 guys at a game. So although you might have teams which have, say, 80 members, realistically, you might have 3 or 4 that turn up on a game day. So I don't really count those sorts of teams because, although you might have all these members, you're not exactly fielding a large force. So in terms of strength, that's where we went to. And that was up until very recently. Obviously, from the get-go as well, we looked into merchandise with a guy who's like a friend of the team. He's in our server, a guy called Boys, and he designs or digitizes the vast majority of our merchandise. And we've got our own operator cap, hoodie, about 15 variations of patches, obviously our new challenge coins, and we've just created like lanyard key rings as well, which I'm looking forward to receiving them. And then that's sort of how we became what we sort of are today, give or take. There's been progression and a couple of setbacks and all that, but
Right.
obviously you learn. This is the first time I've made anything like this before, so of course there's learning curves and whatnot. And now we're sort of sitting pretty as we are.
Yeah. Excellent stuff. So you mentioned that you were obviously coming from the forces and that kind of stuff. Do you have other members that are like ex-military, and do you think that like helps them in any way? Obviously, because you hear a lot of stories of guys who leave the army and they're racked with PTSD and have a lot of issues and stuff. Do you find this sort of thing helps with sort of like getting to grips with civilian life?
We do have a number of serving and ex-serving members from all branches and from different nations as well, actually.
Right.
So we're a bit like NATO in that way.
I like it.
I won't. Yeah, obviously I won't name names, but we have an ex-Portuguese paratrooper, we have an ex-Portuguese Marine,
Right.
we have a Royal Navy medic who's still serving. We did have a serving Marine. Oh God, who else have we had? We've had a couple of reservists. We've had a gentleman who is actually part of the Israeli Defense Force.
Right.
We've got a Royal Artillery guy. We've got we've got a few others as well. We've got a fair few, and we've had fair few in the past. In terms of how that affects the team and how it affects them, it's definitely a positive effect.
Yeah.
I've found that not just in myself, but witnessing and talking to these gentlemen. One of the reasons why I enjoy it so much is it's not the military.
Yeah.
We all know that, but you can try and make it resemble it in some ways. Not so much, obviously, the Discord side of it, but when you're in the field on game days, depending on the sort of game style or game mode you're playing, obviously, as a team, we prefer those long games where you can dip in and out, where the game runs all day, because with those games, you can implement real world tactics. You can utilize formations, etc. Whereas, those 20, 30-minute games, it's rather pointless.
Yeah.
So as for these guys, the serving and the next serving, mentally, it puts them back in that chair, back in that seat where they feel that little bit of nostalgia. Their muscle memory comes back into play and they thoroughly enjoy it. They get proper stuck in. They're keen. They know half, if not all the shit anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think it does help them. It's those we've had. We think I can't speak for those who have PTSD or had PTSD. It's not really a topic that's ever came up openly before within the team. I've had a couple of conversations which I won't bring up because they are private.
Yeah,
but those who do have had it, it can go one or two ways. I can think of a gentleman who thought he was thoroughly in control, and this was fairly recently, and then a flashbang went off in the room next to him and he didn't really like it. That's the way I'll put it, is he didn't really like it. Whereas on the flip side of that, as soon as they get engaged or they're in a contact, that's it. It's like, war mode. They love it. So I think, it's a breath of fresh air for them. It gives them an opportunity to rehearse, practice, and engage in skills and drills that they've been taught professionally and in real, for real theatre.
Yeah.
And obviously, with all that combined together, you then rub off on, I'll say, like full civilians, people who've never had a military experience. It rubs off on them, and it actually enables those individuals and myself to bring those individuals, the full civilians, into a different realm where they can get taught or trained on or instructed on these skills and drills which they would have never had an opportunity to before. Yes, you can pay for courses and whatnot, but why pay for something which is heavily structured and whatnot, whereas you can talk to someone or meet up with someone and get that knowledge and training for free. So that's what we do. We share what we can. There's no ego behind anything, and I say that to all new people that I recruit. There's no ego here. Yes, there's going to be some people that are better at some things than others, etc.
Yeah, like few strong personalities kind of thing.
Absolutely. But it's never a case of, I can clear this house 5 seconds quicker than you, therefore I'm better, you're rubbish, suck it up. There's none of that. And the times, literally maybe once or twice we've had that, those individuals have been removed. There's no time for it. It's a game. We're all here to make friends, have a laugh, have a hobby in common. So there's no place for egos. And that sort of stuff. But yeah, no, at the end of the day, to answer your question, I definitely think that's a positive effect for sure from those that I've spoken to.
Yeah, it does sound like there's a lot of camaraderie there as well, which is nice to hear. So you mentioned you obviously got guys from Portugal and places like that, but where's the bulk of your force based?
So at this current moment in time, it's definitely the Cumbria area. Like I mentioned to you previously, at one point, up until not too long ago, start of the year, we boasted the biggest Milsim team in the UK. And that's whilst I was living down south. I then moved away up here to Cumbria for a few different reasons with the missus and our daughter. We then had a scenario where we lost a few members.
Right.
And I mean, we're growing back up again, but we're sitting at about, I could tell you right now, actually, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. We're sitting at 21 regular full-time members, plus a couple in reserve, which we call auxiliary. They're basically individuals who can't quite commit fully at the moment, but don't want to leave the team. They want to come back at some point. But yeah, 21 full-time members. So we're still very large. Not as big. I'll say we were sitting close to 40 at one point. But yeah, the majority of us are up here. And then we have a detachment of 5 blokes still down south that attend GZ or Ground Zero. And, with us, with Cumbria being the sort of place it is, it's not too hard to commute from like the west side to the east side, like Newcastle area. We have a couple members in the Newcastle area, and they commute to our local site over here, which is called Raw War. And it's a fantastic site with brilliant marshals, really nice people, and it's a lovely location as well, really good ground to play on. But that's where we are, the majority of us. We have recently opened up what we're calling our international centuries. So obviously the century referring to the Roman unit, that's our version of a squad, essentially a century. And obviously up until now, centuries were placed in locations which there was an abundance of members, so they could all the same members from that century could attend the same site at the same time, etc. That's great, but I've come to realize for us to grow, there's only if there's 100 members that attend a site, you're not going to be able to attend all 100. But even if you did, well, how are you going to attend? Recruit more if there isn't more there. So the thought behind it was essentially recruiting, or given the option to recruit internationally, where they will join the team in this international cohort, international century, and they'll follow the exact same rules, procedures, values, and standards as everybody else in the team, same probation program, but they'll be able to represent in their local area. Therefore, we're growing as a team, representing in different parts of the world. And it's another way of getting the name out there, the brand out there, because that's all it is at the end of the day as well. It's not just a team; it's a brand. With all the merch we have, people recognize it, and they do genuinely recognize it. I thought it was a bit of a myth, but I speak to some people on Facebook or Insta, or just at local sites. It's like, I've never been to this one before, but I've heard of you guys. It's like, oh wow, okay, So that's in terms of location or geography. That's sort of how we're working it at the moment.
So, say one of my listeners wants to join up with the Legion. What kind of criteria would they have to meet?
Yeah, fair enough. So, like I said, we with this international century, we do technically accept anyone across the globe as long as they obviously meet the following criteria. So we have all our members. These are hard requirements, I would call them.
Yeah.
18 plus, just due to either maturity or a bit of life experience, etc. And obviously, for those that are local, more than likely they should have a car or will have a form of transport.
Yeah.
So 18 plus, obviously they have to have Discord and a profile for them in order to join the team server. Reliable in terms of communication via Discord. Thousands of times that people have joined teams, groups, organizations, sounding all keen and good. They join and then they just ghost. They go radio silent.
Yeah.
And we've had the exact same thing, So reliable, if I send someone a message or a team event message goes out, I don't want to chase people. I don't want to have to get people to chase you. Billy Basics, just respond to messages. It's a respect thing as well, not leaving people hanging.
Yeah.
So 18 plus, Discord server, a willingness to learn, and also more than happy to be part of a team and play in the Milsim style. Obviously that meaning, you're not going to join the team and then play in the Rambo style individually or lone wolf in it. That's not how we roll.
Yeah.
But then obviously if someone was to get in contact with us anyway, then that should sort of already be agreed upon within their own self. But so not many hard requirements, especially for the international centuries. But they're definitely musts as well, But yeah, so it's not too difficult to join us if you want to. Obviously, you can get hold of us via our Instagram page if you search at the 10th Legion _ airsoft team. We used to have a website, we don't anymore. So the best place to hit us up is on Instagram. And we can, crack on from there. Obviously, if you message the Instagram, you'll be speaking directly to me, and we'll have a chat and see what happens.
Yeah, that sounds really good. So, have you guys got any sort of like pre or post game traditions that you like to do?
I wouldn't say so much as traditions, but we do definitely have a routine where every game day that either I attend or another either serving member or ex-serving member attends, we will always conduct a training session. Obviously, as everybody who plays Airsoft knows, you get a bit of fudge factor or a lull before the actual games start where, you sign in, you pay your money, you chrono your guns and all that. Within that time, that's when we conduct our training. And it's normally a 20 to 30 minute session. I would say lesson. It's a session. And that is always so. For example, at the moment, with me moving up here, everyone's relatively new to the team that is a member up here in Cumbria. I've started the training back to day dot essentially. So we go through basics of contacts and contact drills and engagements and so on. Eventually we build up over months to a year and so on to where we get to eventually we get to the really complicated stuff and the complex drills. But the training that we've done up until now, so from February till now with the guys up here, stuff like fire and movement, how to peel. Obviously, these are just types of formations or drills that you do. Peeling, withdrawing, advance to contacts, how to bound as a fire team or individuals or pairs. Weapon handling as well, because it's not unheard of for people to start playing airsoft, or even maybe they've been playing airsoft a little while, but they don't quite know their way around. I won't say firearm, obviously, but a rifle or a platform. So we do weapon handling drills, and that can be stuff like going down to the nitty gritties of hand placement on the hand guard, the direction you're aiming the barrel as you're patrolling or moving around an area slowly, to having your weapon in an alert state when you're about to breach a door or go through a fibula or an obua complex and conduct CQB. So it's everything that myself and other individuals would have been taught. And again, we're passing that on to the other members so they can benefit and better themselves, because that's what we want to do at the end of the day, is give people an environment to better themselves, and therefore, they'll enjoy the sport more because they feel like they're accomplishing more, they're learning more, and they're putting those drills, they're putting it into practice. And fingers crossed, it makes them a better player and they'll win more situations. But yeah, so we conduct training at the start of every game, and that's about it. Obviously, within the Discord side of it, the admin side of it, I'll always put out a set of what I call battle orders.
Yeah.
Before a day or two before the game, I put out a set of battle orders or part one orders, and it'll be time, date, location, primary objective, secondary objective, and just roughly how I want the day to be run or how I want the day to go, so to speak. So there might be a game where, with depending on the members we have attending, I might want us to form a more defensive stance throughout the day or aggressive, depending. And then after the game day, I'll do a brief or a debrief, rather, where I'll talk about how the day went, the pros, the cons, any criticisms, anything people done really well, some shout outs, and give the lads a bit of feedback, really, because it's all well and good doing the training, letting them run loose, so to speak. But then if they forget something, or they're not too sure, or they experience a situation they haven't encountered before, and it gets witnessed by other people and it has an effect, then feedback might be quite helpful for those individuals. But that's sort of our standard routine before, during, and after on a game day.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, excellent stuff. I mean, I do like how you're implementing the weapon safety aspect, because I've seen so many players with itchy trigger fingers, and even in the safe zone where they're like dry firing, or they've got a mag in the gun before they even leave the safe zone. So I think it's a really crucial mindset to have in really early. So really do love how you've got that in play with your guys.
100%. At the end of the day, regardless of if you have a good day or a bad day, as long as you're safe, that's what matters.
Absolutely. Yeah.
No one gets hurt, loses an eye or a tooth or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, that the safety drills definitely are taken into account when we do our training and our weapon handling. And it's something which we drill into everybody. Obviously, it doesn't normally take too long before someone, and again, like you just said, you see it all the time where people are mucking around, pointing riffs at each other, regardless if they got a mag in.
Yeah.
And they're laughing about it. And normally it's kids, but I've definitely seen some adults do it. And I've seen members from when I was in down south do it. And it really does show a level of immaturity, no professionalism there, and bad discipline.
Yeah.
And if I see members in the team doing that, to be really blunt about it, they get speaking to, because at the end of the day, you might not have a round in the chamber then, but next time you might.
Yeah.
And they might, it's silly things. It's really silly. And like everybody says in the real world, or everywhere just in general, treat it like it's a real thing that's loaded and cocked and the safety's off. That's you really have. Because I don't want to tell your missus that so-and-so shot his eye out because he was playing funny buggers.
Yeah.
And I don't want, especially any of my lads, but anyone in general, getting injured because of a foolish mistake.
Yeah.
So again, like you say, it's definitely something we instill into the lads during our sessions. But they're really good. They're really good with it.
Yeah.
Trigger discipline and so on. Just something simple as, even if you got a mag in, or even if you don't have a mag in, just laying your finger across the guard instead of letting it rest on the trigger.
Yeah.
Simple things like that.
Well, that's it. I mean, it certainly gives me flashbacks when I was an army cadet, when they give you the old cadet model SA-80s, and like if you like pointed down somewhere, you'd be like, "Not even in jest." It's like, oh fuck.
Absolutely.
I'll beast you for it.
Oh no, absolutely, and rightly so.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Well, we'll close up with just a quick sort of look into where you sort of see the 10th Legion going forward. So where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
5 years. Well, up until now, we've been very lucky with how we've developed and progressed. The level of competency the lads are at, the growth of the team, and the level of organization and professionalism is something which I never really thought we'd ever get to. And since moving up here with these individuals we've now got, the team's even better than it's never been better, essentially. We've got our own sponsorship, which lays in the hands of a company called MS Design and Embroidery, a gentleman from Birmingham really nice guy. He makes all of our merchandise at a very good rate, and obviously we have a sponsorship deal with him where we get bits and pieces every now and then.
Yeah.
And we're also extremely good friends with a Portuguese company called Federal Concepts, who I imagine most airsofters know. Obviously, with our Portuguese members, this enhances that bond with them, and we more often than not, we send each other bits of merch. They've sent us a care package in the past, which was very much appreciated. Foregrip stickers, bits and pieces. I've recently sent off one of our new challenge coins to them actually, which they're very grateful to receive, as well as Hades as well. I sent him one because, well, we served in the same battalion in the army at the same time, so we're quite close. But yeah, I mean, ideally, we're always open to new relationships with companies, teams, and whatnot, or sponsorships. We're quite happy right now with what we've got, but we're open to new opportunities for sure. So if you're listening, get in touch. But in terms of, say 4 or 5 years time, obviously growth, I want growth to continue, hence why we've implemented the new international century system. So more members, we can never be too big, essentially. In the past, we hosted our own, well, 3 or 4. We host our own Milsim events. So we'll hire a site, and then over the course of 2 or 3 months, I will plan, organize, and then we'll execute a Milsim event. Some will call it a battle sim because it's just one day, but it is essentially a Milsim, and that will be just for the team. In the future, we plan on doing it again. Perhaps we'll invite some teams to take part as well. We'll have Civ Pop, we'll have an Op 4, and these Milsim events. And this is not a brag because this, I know it's the case, but these Milsim events we've done in the past and will do in the future, some of the most realistic Milsim events you will ever experience.
Right.
It's not go capture the flag, bring it back with some more hardcore rules. The objectives and the way the day is run in general, it's essentially the equivalent to going on like a military exercise, and that's how I sort of try and replicate it. So, for example, on one of the operations we did, we had a big briefing in a tent in the morning, what the lowdown was essentially, with one initial objective. From that objective, you gain intel, which then leads you on to the next one. And then something else from that one will lead you on to the next one, so on and so forth. So something which has a potential to happen in a real world scenario, ad hoc objectives or secondary objectives, which can be completed if the situation allows for it. And that's how we run it. Same with the rules as well. I've tried implementing rules like 30 round mags, a medic system where if you get shot in the leg, you're not dead, but you can't move. You have to sit down. Designated medics, which I know is not a new thing, but in terms of standard games, sometimes it's different. But and then eventually, if you do die or you get hit properly, that's you done for that objective. You respawn at the next objective, so to speak. So they're very realistic in that way, and also the way the lads conduct themselves on the field. It's not just a horde running down the road towards an objective. You move tactically using the terrain to your advantage. We have maps. We make maps for it where those with navigation knowledge can look at contour lines and they go, right, although this looks like the best route in, actually if we dogleg around in the low ground, we shouldn't be seen. So this is where the training comes into its own, where it massively enhances the training value when we eventually do these Milsim events. It enhances that value and gets put into practice. So yeah, down the line, we definitely want to organize and host more of those events.
Yeah.
Obviously, more merch. That will never end because we love our merch. And who knows what else, really, there's been talks of other things in the past, but it's learning about not how to overextend yourself and your ability as well. Like we said at the start, not building a house from the roof downwards, making sure you have a solid piece beneath you before you move on to the next stage, which is definitely something I try and follow as this team develops and evolves. But apart from that, we're sitting very good. We're very healthy. Recruitment is non-stop. I think I've recruited like 3 or 4 guys in the last month. Obviously This isn't necessarily tied to the future, but obviously with the probation system we run, it really does makes the members feel valued, and it makes them feel like it's something proper. It's not, we're not just a Facebook group or a Facebook chat of lads where you join it and that's it, off you go. With the probation program, it makes lads feel like it's a professional organization, which is what we try to be, what we aspire to be.
Yeah.
And with that in place, we're not going too far wrong. So we must be doing something right.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Ah, well, brilliant. Well, it's been an absolute joy to have you on the show. And like I say, I do want to get a Milsim down under my belt sometime next year. So hopefully at some point I get to play alongside you guys.
Oh, mate, we'll make it happen. We'll make it happen. Next time we do one, well, you're on our Discord, so you'll see the crack.
Yeah.
But no, I appreciate you having me on here, mate. I really do. It's been wonderful chatting to you.
Likewise.
Perhaps we can do it again sometime. Who knows? But yeah, it's been a good chat, mate. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. We'll definitely pencil something in.
Wonderful.
Right.
Happy days.
Oh, that's great, matey. I'll catch you on the next one.
See you later, mate.
Thanks for listening to Diamondback Radio. Stay locked, stay loaded, stay tuned. Diamondback Radio.